Hello and welcome back. This is Hodora and today I have a topic for you guys. We're gonna talk about how to get double S in N.I.A scenario. Of course, in Gakuen Idol Master. It's gonna be a quick tip. I think I have like 4 or 5 tips for you guys today. So let's start. But before we go to the actual tip, we need to talk about the rating calculation of N.I.A scenario first, because in this scenario they use the different formula compared to the Hajime, right? In this scenario, the rating is equal to the total stats of your idol times 2.3 and combined with the fan bonus and use those stats to get the rating, right? What is fan bonus? Fan bonus is calculate depend on the rank of your fan you get during the scenario. And in this case, I'm gonna only talk about S plus and double S because this is like the minimum requirement for you to get double S anyway. For S rank, you gonna get 1200 plus 2.5% of your total fans. If you have S plus, the fan scaling will increase to 1600 and 6% of the total fan. And at double S rank, the fat number gonna be 2100 and 5.5% of your total fan. So the more fan you have, the base gonna increase and the percentage of your fan gonna decrease a little bit. And to get double S, you need at least 16,000 rating to get double S. So for example, if you get the total stat of 4,000 flat, you need at least 87,000 fan during your scenario, during your run, and that gonna equal 16,055, which is barely enough to get double S rating. This is basically the target you want to hit. If you can push your score higher than this, you're gonna need less fans. But if your score is lower than this, you need to increase your fans some more. So now that the rating is done, right? We're gonna go to the second one. In order to get the most out of the run, you should maximize your audition. You shouldn't do less score in audition at all. You should go all in as always. And the requirement for you to get double S, maybe you can get double S at lower bond, but I recommend you get bond 20 because at that point you're gonna get 50% fan gain buff, which gonna increase the total fan you get in every event during the run. And the total of fan will also contribute to the bonus stat during your audition too. And as I said earlier, you need to get as close as possible to the soft cap, which is the threshold that if you hit, you gonna get at least 85 to 90% of your total fan you can get in each audition, right? For audition 1, the soft cap is 5500, audition 2 is 64,000, audition 3 is 200,000. This is the score you want to get, right? As close as possible, and if possible, on audition T you're gonna go all out and go overshoot this if you can. If you can't, it's fine. I think I got double S with Kosone with only 100,000 in audition 3, but I do quite well in audition 1 and 2, so everything count in this case. And that is a cap. I know for the fact that audition 1 cap for fan gain at bond 20, by the way, is 12,000. Audition 2, I don't know the number, and audition 3, I also don't know the number, but it's gonna be higher than 12,000 for sure. And while doing each audition, you need to remember to do the score in all the stat turn. You shouldn't nitpick if you want to do it in dance or you want to do it in visual, because those is the idol main stat, because the total stat you gain depend on the score you do in each stat, right? In this case, I do stat in vocal, dance, and visual, so I gain a lot of score in 3 different stats for Kotone. But if I don't do any score for vocal, Kotone will not gain any score for vocal, and that is bad, because there is also a cap you can get in terms of score. In terms of stat for the score you do in each category. So if you miss out on doing one stat, example, if it is 0, that means you lost maybe 90. In this is audition 1, maybe 80 to 90 point for vocal, and that is bad in terms of total stat loss, right? And it's also recommend to stick to the plan stat, as you can see up here. This is the plan stat for Kotone, because if you stick to this and you get Shibarashi or N.I.A, that means each one is fine. You don't need to get perfect threshold. You can go with N.I.A, which is good enough, and you're gonna get a lot of bonus percentage for parameter during your audition. And as you can see here, my Kotone is not have the perfect for the dance, which is the main stat, but it's fine. I think I still get a lot of bonus out of just good. As I say here, going off stat is fine as long as you can read soft cap in audition, as long as you are confident, of course. That is for the tip number 2. Tip number 3 is you need to plan ahead, at least ahead for like 2 to 3 weeks, because all of the week we see here, 27 week is locked. Everything will be in this order no matter what. And since everything will be in this order, you shouldn't run out of either money or stamina, right? Money, why we don't want to run out of money? Because money will be used for Hangout Event, for special training, for shopping. And if you run out, you can't do any of those things. That means you lost the potential of the card you can do or the deck you can build for the final audition, right? And for stamina, it's straightforward, because during the work week, the sale week, this purple icon, most of the time you want to pick the option that use stamina, because that's gonna give you either the upgrade skill card or the money itself. And you also need to use money in every lesson that gives you a stat too. So, and of course, stamina we also use during the audition. So it's really important for you to keep track of these 2 resources in N.I.A scenario. And how to do that, how to maximize these 2 resources? Well, there is a lot of options. First one is, of course, as I talked earlier, doing a work and pick the one that gives you money, so you have more money. Otherwise, you can use a memory that have a passive that give you either the starting money or have a passive that gonna recover your stamina. And also you can also use the support card that recover your stamina too. But be aware or be careful about this condition, because different card, different memory will have the trigger be different. For example, this one only trigger on the vocal and this one only trigger on visual. If you choose these 2 and you go into Simiga run, Sumiga only want to do dance. These two recovery passive will not be triggered at all, right? And also another way to recover stamina is do a hangout event or outing event, which is I believe to be the best strategy for N.I.A at the moment. That is all for planning ahead. You need, and you can see me doing here. I will do a lot of work and always visit outing because other option, gift is fine but it's not contribute in anything at all. And shopping is actually good, but early on you don't have enough money to do shopping and cover all the cost of everything else. So I recommend you do hang out and just go to work. And another thing that I forgot to talk about earlier is because you're planning ahead, you need to count how many P-point or how much money you need to use in both of the hangout event and for the special training for your target skill card that you want to upgrade, right? There are so many different options and each option have different price, so I not gonna cover that. I already know that is a range, I think 20, 40, 70 and 100 for different kind of option. And that is all for trip number 3. Next is trip number 4. It's about the support card or support card that you want to use. First, let's look at the passive that quite important for the support card that you're going to use in N.I.A scenario. These are the most important in my opinion. The first one is give you a stat when you do a outing event or hangout event. This one, this icon, right? Why? Because this will happen 5 to 6 times during the entire run. Depend on you want to do the last one before the final audition or not. But 5 to 6 times during a run, that means 55 to 65 free stat. Just form one support card. If you have 2 support cards with this trigger, it's gonna be 110 or maybe 132. That is a lot of free stat, right? And another one is this keyword, this trigger. Trigger either at the classroom or the work week, which is the purple icon. This thing will happen 7 times in total during the run. And you cannot ignore this because during work week you can't do anything else except rest, and rest doesn't give you anything because work gives you so many things. If you don't know, it gives you fan count, it gives you skill card, it gives you either money or upgrade. There's so many things to get from the work week instead of just rest, and you have a limit amount of rest anyway, so I don't think rest stat is that viable in N.I.A scenario. These two are the most important passive in the support card you want to use. Other than that, the usual one, right? SP lesson chance, SP lesson bonus, and more importantly, I talked about this earlier in managing your stamina, right? You want SP lesson stamina recovery. If you have SP lesson for that stat and you're gonna do that stat a lot, otherwise you cannot manage your stamina quite well without this passive. If you don't have this passive in any of your support card, borrow one. It's fine. You just need one for your main stat, and that's gonna carry your stamina management through the entire run. Believe me, I do that before. And because we talk about all these passive, like, but what skill card that have this passive? Well, these are, for example, I'm gonna give you guys, and my logo is blocking that. There is 2 different categories I'm gonna give you guys. The first one, these 3 have 1 or 2 of the previous passive that I mentioned before, and these 3 give you a good produce item. This item will not stay in your memory, it's just gonna help you during your produce run. For example, the hiking will give you free stat every time you do the work week, and this one will give you, I think, free drink, while this one will give you free money. And the other stick down here is the card that have, as I mentioned before, a good passive, which is any of these, right? And have a good contest item that gonna help you during the audition. Because if you don't have any good contest item, the audition will be less consistent in my opinion. You remember all this, right? The extra skill card you set on each turn for dance, for vocal, for visual, extra parameter for dance and vocal. Extra parameter for visual is, well, if you want to use it, it's fine, but the passive is half doesn't help with the plan I use to get double S, so I'm not gonna include that in here. Instead, I pick this one because this one have SP lesson bonus and SP lesson chance, and the item is fine. It gives you 2 shield every time you use the active card during visual turn, so it's help with survivability. And lastly, this is really important, right? You need to read during, you should read during the entire run, but if you can't read Japanese, focus on during the work week, because in each option for different stat, you can see there is a keyword for which skill card is gonna give. There will be 2 different types of skill card, and the other slot will be either active skill or mental skill. It's quite easy to differentiate because this keyword will have kanji, and if it don't have keyword, it's gonna be either of these, which is katakana. So I recommend you remember this kanji. While during Zen, you need to differentiate between concentration and good condition. For logic, either impression or motivation, and for anomaly, either bullish or late buff and full power stack. Right, you need to differentiate this so that you don't break your deck by choosing the wrong choice. Well, if you play Zen, it's fine, you can use any of these, but for logic and anomaly, it might be a little bit difficult to utilize the counterpart of the cards. So yeah, that is, you need to be worried, or you need to be careful about during the work week, right? I give you an example here. This one in dance, it say that it will give concentration skill card, and the other choice either in vocal or visual gonna be good condition skill card, and the last one gonna be either active or passive, not passive, sorry, mental. So you need to pay attention a little bit during this, because as you know, in this contest, the most important thing is you doing good during audition. So card is more important than your stat. You can have incorrect stat distribution, it's fine, but you shouldn't have a wrong card in your deck. Anyway, that is all, I think, for the tip that I use to get double S during my N.I.A scenario grinding. Anyway, have fun with your game and see you again next time. Bye bye!